Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chop and Slice. I'm one of the co-hosts, Michael, and this is
Brandon.
We are here to talk about
Rumpelstiltskin, 1995.
Written and directed by Mark Jones. This movie opens up pretty cool. I like the prologue of this movie. We're not going to break it all down, but we're just going to dive into some of our thoughts and opinions. So, like I was saying, the prologue of this movie is pretty cool. Opens up with this little demon, whatever he is, Rumpelstiltskin. He is he's a fairy tale like villain. He's been around forever. The lore and everything, the stories about Rumpelstiltskin will kidnap your kids and eat them, and all this other,
this weird shit.
all this other, yeah. So we see him running around with a baby. Being chased by, and this takes place somewhere in Europe. Literally says somewhere
in Europe.
1400s. I don't even think it specifies what year.
It just says somewhere in Europe, 1400s.
So we see that he's running around with this baby. He's being chased by the mother of the baby, as well as a mob of, assuming, townfolk. Big Viking-looking dudes. And they chase him to the edge of a cliff. And he summons up like this fire, like
he used that powder.
Yeah, some powder that brought up some flames and circled him and the baby, to try and avoid that the people don't go past it. But eventually, people do get past it. The first person that gets past it, he gets picked up, and his eye is ripped out of its socket. And then Rumpelstiltskin ends up eating that eye, which was pretty cool practical effects.
It was, and it was pretty gnarly, actually.
Pretty well done. So at this point, I've seen this movie when I was a kid and I grew up watching it. This is your first.
Yeah, it was a first for me. I've heard about it. I heard pretty good things about it, actually. But, yeah, we're going to get into it, though.
Yeah, so like I was saying, I just wanted to throw that in because I grew up watching this. It was actually one of my favorite horror movies growing up. But after watching it again, we'll talk about it. So,
we fast forward, like 500 something years.
Well, let's not forget that the witch turns Rumpelstiltskin into a stone. There's a witch in the mob. She ends up casting him away and turning him into a stone by throwing pixie dust or whatever she did on him, and saying Rumpelstiltskin 3 times. The whole mob does. So he gets summoned, and then as the stone actually gets tossed into a river or lake.
Basically, how the spell is spelt out is he'll remain that way for 1,000 years unless someone makes a wish or something.
Unless,
right.
A wish is granted near the stone. So, fast forward to present time, which would be 1995 at this point.
In Los Angeles?
Yep. And this movie looks super old. Like, the filter on it looks like it's from 1980. Just FYI, it's like, it looks so brutally filtered. It just looks old. But fast forward to 1995, LA, Los Angeles. You see 2 cops driving around patrolling the area. At this point, we see one of the cops I think he goes and grabs food or goes in to get something into the store, and then we see the main character's whose name is Shelly. Her husband is a cop. His name is Russell. So we see Russell, talking to Shelly on the phone. We see that she's pregnant, so that's, kind of hinting towards where we're going to go, foreshadowing where we're going to go into this movie. We see Russell stopping a mug attack. Actually, there's a mugging that happens. He sees that. He ends up putting a stop to that. He runs after the mugger, which he's a very bad shot, I might add. What do you think?
Yeah. That cop sucked. It was like he points the gun at him, back completely turned to him, takes a shot. He waits for the mugger to turn around, aim, shoot. He was even staring down the barrel and shoots him. I think where chest, legs,
and upper
shoulder,
area.
What a dumb cop.
And then, but Russell ends up, as the mugger's running away, he's able to get one last shot off. He shoots him right in the noggin, right in the head, and kills him. We don't know that for a fact, but I assume. But then later, we fast forward. Shelly is in the hospital with her friend Hildy. Yeah, Hildy. They're in the hospital together, and we see that Russell has passed away, unfortunately.
Well, he deserves to die for being such a stupid cop. But, anyways, should have taken the shot right away and didn't. But he just waited.
Yeah, that's what got him killed. That was. But to be fair to his credit, there was a baby sitting in the car.
Yeah, like 50 yards away.
Yeah,
from the mugger.
But,
anyways,
very unfortunate situation there. But we later fast forward to where we see that there is a baby. So Shelly has the baby. No father, unfortunately for her, but her and Hildy go out shopping, and then Hildy has the idea of going to one of this weird little spots.
It's like a witch
shop, yeah.
Where they find the stone, doesn't show how it was recovered.
Those still exist, by the way, with all those weird artifacts and just like old folktale history pieces and stuff like that. Those still exist, and I've been to a few myself. But in LA,
they're all just scams.
Yeah, but in LA, you're gonna see a lot of those going around, especially nowadays. It ain't what it used to be, unfortunately. But yeah, we see Shelly get attached to this one certain piece, the stone.
It was like it attracted her to it.
Yeah, I don't think she was so much attracted to it. I think that the stone had this, like, I think
inner power.
Yeah, that could attract you to it. So the witch, the owner, whatever you want to call her,
highly urging her not to get it. Even said it's not for sale, but
it's not for her. It's not, it's not for sale, and it's not for her. And she looks at the baby and sees that she has a baby, so she knows all about this piece. It was probably passed down through her family, generations and upon generations. So she's pretty familiar with what Rumpelstiltskin is. I don't know why she still let her walk out with the piece, but that's besides.
But hey, money.
The money talks. And then she later regretted that. But anyway, so we get to the house, and Shelly, has the piece set up by a picture of her husband and her little baby. She makes a wish she would love to see her husband again, which is granted. Rumpelstiltskin granted that wish.
I think it was actually him, though.
Could have been him, but so technically he lied. Her husband, while she's laying down, we see him walk in full uniform and end up getting it on with her, of course. I mean, why not? And then after that, he gets up, goes in the shower. She follows him, and we see that it's not him. It's actually Rumpelstiltskin. So he has returned after however many years, 500 something years. So he's back, and he says, "I want your baby." That was part of the deal. So he likes to kidnap and eat your babies.
One thing he says that is kind of funny is, "Let me have the baby. You can just make another one."
Yeah, that was a funny line. Yeah, that's another thing I want to talk about is Rumpelstiltskin in this movie is pretty funny. He has some good liners, good one-liners, and some good zingers, and I enjoyed it. For him, he was a good character, I felt like. He wasn't the most vicious. He wasn't the most brutal or strongest or whatever. He really reminded me a lot of Leprechaun. I think that's kind of what
it's like a little bit of Leprechaun and Gremlins.
And a little bit of Freddy thrown in, some dialogue-wise. But yeah, I thought he was a pretty cool character. So Shelly fights Rumpelstiltskin off with a broom, and then, fast forward, Hildy hops in and she gets her neck snapped by Rumpel. Then that makes the way for Shelly and her baby to escape this evil demonic being. Then after that, there's a pretty long, car chase. Rumpel kills a motorcycle biker.
Car chase was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Mack
yeah.
truck.
Well, that's once Max got introduced. So before all this, we see a little foreshadowing of the character Max. We see that he's a talk show host. Has a little Howard Stern, Jerry Springer vibe to him a little bit with some of his dialogue and choice of words. So he's just a douchebag all around.
Yeah, and a terrible actor.
Yeah, the acting wasn't too great in this movie by all parties, unfortunately. So that was one of the downfalls of this movie. And sometimes, like when Rumpel would talk, his mouth wouldn't even move. I noticed, which was kind of unfortunate. But the cart, like the chase, was pretty cool. Once Max met Shelly, he was just heading.
It was a whole new movie at this point.
Yeah, just completely different. It kind of picked up. I'm thinking about it though. I really did like the character Hildy. Her friend was kind of unique and outgoing, and I did like that character. But when Max got introduced, I was like, this guy's a douche. He was going on a camping trip. Shelly's car broke down after escaping from the clutches of Rumpel. And then we later see that Rumpel finds a Mack truck, kills that driver by ripping his head off, then picking up his cigar and smoking it. Rumpel was cool, man. He was a dope guy, dude.
It just would have been better if they had better writers. And
yeah,
maybe if it had been produced by, New Line or Paramount.
It was produced by Republic Pictures. When you have a budget of $3 million and you only make $306,000 at the box office,
that's why we never got a sequel. But
it's kind of like the Jeepers Creepers thing. Like, they make this movie, and it's a better movie than Jeepers Creepers Reborn, but they made it to set up a sequel. That's kind of hilarious, isn't it? Like, they actually thought they were going to make a sequel. That's kind of funny. But anyway, we'll talk about that scene.
It's still not as bad as Jeepers Creepers.
No. This is much, much better. This makes Jeepers Creepers look like Citizen Kane. But yeah, like I was saying, there's a pretty cool car chase. Pretty realistic. Very cool Mack truck chase. It kind of reminds me of the original Jeepers Creepers car chase in the beginning of that movie. So, yeah, I'll let you take over, give some of your opinions on the car chase.
Yeah, it definitely had a lot of cool parts in it. And it's like Max is trying to figure out like what's going on, and he's starting to realize, oh, okay, maybe she's telling the truth because, he wasn't believing her, and he's just ramming it. I like how the boat just flies off and it like goes right in front of him. But it didn't make a whole lot of sense when Rumpel like ran over the boat and it was like this big explosion, like there was some C4 in there or something. But I guess they were really trying to sell this movie, and they just throw random explosions.
I do like Max's little like commentary when he's like driving and making all these like noises.
But that's when he came off as bad, I think.
He was just bad just in the movie. I mean, no offense to the actor, but he just wasn't good. Just wasn't good. I haven't seen any of his other stuff, to be fair.
Well,
I probably don't want to, but it is what it is, man.
That's probably his only thing.
Maybe.
Probably.
But yeah, at this point in the movie, you're just kind of like going with the flow. And then there's a big end battle between Max and Shelly against Rumpel. That's pretty cool. The ending is really cool. I liked it. They go to a graveyard. Well, before that, we also see the witch pop up in the back of a car that Max...
randomly?
Randomly. She ends up getting killed due to some, like, voodoo.
Yeah, he, like, chokes her.
Yeah.
While he's at the graveyard. Rumpel chokes her while he's at the graveyard.
She gives Shelly some insight about, you gotta say Rumpel's name 3 times. Rumpelstiltskin, Rumpelstiltskin,
like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, kind of like Beetlejuice or Candyman. So that was interesting when she died out of nowhere. But they brought a lot of meaningless characters to just get killed, and that's it. There's like no impact of their deaths whatsoever. Like even though I liked Hildy's character when she died, I'm like, oh. And a lot of off-screen kills and all that, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. But the dialogue was good. There was a lot of swearing and a lot of stuff like that. So I don't know why they couldn't show more gore or blood because it definitely wasn't PG-13. It's a rated R film,
The
but
gore really wasn't big at this time, though.
uh,
I mean, they had Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but
they had Friday
gore.
the 13th.
Yeah, but it's not really gore.
Yeah,
Like gore really didn't start getting popular till Saw, I think. But
they
that's
could
just
have
my-
had more gore though. But anyway, yeah, the end was kind of cool where they fight off at a graveyard and Rumpel is able to like summon zombies or whatever. I thought that was kind of cool. But Russell and Shelley was able to fight off the zombies. Rumpel did eventually end up grabbing the baby and like hiding the baby somewhere
in a grave.
Yeah, trying to like take its soul and eat it. But Shelley and Russell put a quick stop to that, and that was cool. So, you want to talk about the end battle?
Yeah, my favorite part about that was when he lifts him up on that bulldozer. You know.
Yeah, the bulldozer's on fire. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, and he like gets electrocuted while on top of the bulldozer.
That was pretty sick.
Yeah.
And then the end, it was kind of like Child's Play, the original, where he's all burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, but Chucky didn't get burned alive and electrocuted at the same time on top of a bulldozer. So that was probably the rest of their $3 million right there.
Yeah, there's their $3 million. This movie lost like $2.5 million or whatever. That's kind of sad, but I can see why. It probably didn't even have a lot of promotion behind it.
And they did try to set up, of course, for a sequel. They find the stone.
They do end up. Shelley does end up summoning him back into a stone, which Max just kind of carelessly throws it down a river or whatever. So 3 years later, the stone is found by a group of like 2 little girls. They walk up and give it to their mom, who has a baby. So it's like the stone just kind of attracts itself to like families with babies, single moms. It seems like. It's kind of interesting. So,
do you want to get to the rating?
Yeah. So, with that being said, the whole movie as a whole, I enjoyed for the most part, nostalgic reasons, because I grew up watching this film a lot. I always thought it was cool, but now when you get, older, you start to recognize the quality of movies, and I can say this one is not really quality driven at all. I would recommend you guys go see it, rent it, like I rented it on the Microsoft Store. Quality-wise, like I said, it sucked.
But yeah.
The acting was terrible, but I did like Rumpel. I did like the dialogue. It's not too cringy of a film. The filter, it makes it look old, but sometimes it does work.
I don't mind if it looks old.
It actually
that's kind of a good thing.
It kind of worked for this. At like the night scenes and stuff, I thought the music too in it was good. But yeah, it needs some work. It needed some more detail to it. But unfortunately, yeah, it's not the greatest horror movie. It's one that I probably won't be watching for another 20 years, to be honest. I'll give it a 4.5, 4.5 out of 10. For me, just based on just my overall opinion, we don't have a structure or criteria on how we rate it. Just whatever you feel. I'm feeling a 4.5 for this. That's all. It's not a bad, terrible film. It's watchable at least, but not really rewatchable anymore when you're, an adult. You're paying attention to the details and stuff like that. So, Brandon?
I'm going to go 5 out of 10 on this.
Sheesh!
5 out of 10. It was okay for me. I mean, I do kind of like the filters a little bit. I kind of do like the old filters on the movie. I'm not really complaining too much about that. Dialogue was cringe, especially Max. I think so. It was cringe. Yeah, horrible actors in this movie. Dialogue was cringe.
Hildy was good in this movie, though.
She was okay. To me, this movie barely passes for horror, in my opinion. Just barely. The movie's a lot of fun. It's silly. It reminds me more of Gremlins, to be honest with you. It is what it is. It's an okay movie. Good time one. It's a good one-time one-see. I'll probably never watch it again, but I appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, it's not really something you sit down with your friends and, hey, check this out.
Yeah, check this out.
So with that being said, that gives that official chop and slice ratings of 9.5 out of 20.
9.5 out of 20.
It's a little less than 50%, but oh well. It's kind of a less than movie, you know?
Yeah.
So, guys, that will wrap up the Rumpelstiltskin review in 1995. You know, one good thing is that the movie cover, I will say, when as a kid, when I saw that cover of him looking through that door with the night shine, like you'll see it on this picture, on the picture video you're watching, but man, I always thought that cover was so cool and so badass as a kid, man. I don't know. So
I will recommend the movie. If you haven't seen it, one time, just give it a watch.
Give it a watch. You know, it's not going to be your favorite movie.
It's not a cream in your pants kind of thing.
Something to sit down and, you know, just kill time if you're looking for something to watch.
And if you've seen it all, might as well.
Yeah, if you've seen it all. If you've seen all the big wigs like Michael, Freddy.
Yeah, for this one, we kind of wanted to do something different, you know? Kind of get some of the big names out of the way.
We're not just going for the big ones. We're exploring all different genres of horror, you know? There's all the subgenres. This isn't even really a slasher.
I would put it in slasher category.
Kind of supernatural slasher.
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah, so it has a different element. It's not just him running around with a knife and stabbing people, or it's not just ghost hauntings. You know, it's a nice, different kind of shake-up. So, guys, that will wrap it up. And, yeah. Brandon, any final words?
Careful what you wish for.
Because you just might get it all. All right, thank you, guys. Peace out.